about competition?
And that's yet another book. And that probably should be a program in its own right, because that's a complicated and controversial topic that applies at school, at home, at work, and at play, and to our whole society.
I will stop you for 1 second. I have a friend in Great Britain. He has a very nice family. He works in the elite of acoustic jobs with, I don't know, electronic things, playing music. And he said something like this: there's no more competition in the school of my kids, and I'm really desperate. It is a threat to the basis of our tradition and to our civilization. End of quotation.
Well, he lives in a different world than I do, or perhaps has different values in terms of what we want to promote. Me, I want to promote excellence as well as caring, loving people. And competition gets in the way of both. If you are an obstacle to my success, I can succeed only if you fail, or only if I make you fail, which is what competition means by definition. Then I have every interest in making sure that you are a loser. And research finds that I tend to celebrate your pain. And I am less empathic, less likely to help you, to trust you, or to communicate openly with you. But even if your goal was only excellence, people who could achieve at high levels, it turns out that all of us are smarter than any of us, which is to say that a well-functioning cooperative group reaches higher levels of achievement than the most expert member of that group could on his or her own, and certainly does better than a situation where we have to step on each other's faces in order to get ahead. The great achievements of our civilization are in spite of competition, not because of it, and ideally in a situation where we're all rooting for each other and exchanging our resources and talents to cooperate, not to compete.
Is there a unique model or a pattern for all kids regarding the culture or the ethnic group they will come from? I mean, this type of theory can apply to everybody?
In its broad outlines, yes, but in the way that it's applied, it might be different.
I'll give you an example. A Romanian who sees you right now can say, well, Alfie Kohn is fascinating, but that works at his home in the States. That will never work in Romania. This is totally different.
Well, the empirical research that I've been referring to has been done across cultural bounds. For example, the idea that conditional parenting is destructive and that children need to have a sense of control over their own lives, that it makes more sense to work with kids instead of doing to kids, that result has been ratified and reproduced in countries all across, all across Europe, in North America, in Asia, in more collective societies and in more individualistic societies. Now, what isn't uniform is the way one might work with children. Because there it will depend not only on the culture, but on the individual child and his or her temperament and personality. That's why I hesitate to give a simple, fixed solution. What do I do when my child does the following? Here, I think there are different responses. But what never works in any culture or with any child is to rely on power and control, punishments and rewards. And I have not heard any logical reason nor seen any evidence that unconditional support for children isn't what they need around the globe.
What will you answer to somebody who can say, if I follow your point of view, if I follow your research, if I follow your book, this is like I will become the slave of my kid?
Yes, here we go back to the anarchy canard, you know, the false, the straw man in an argument. If you believe that human relationships must be master and slave relationships necessarily, then it makes sense that if you're not the master, you must be the slave. Happily, that view of the world is mistaken through and through.
Right.
What we want is for no one to be a master or a slave. I'm not saying we're equal to children. We have more experience. We have, we hope, more wisdom. I'm not saying that it's the same as you and I talking. I believe the parent has unique responsibilities to guide and help children to acquire values and then to decide what values they want for themselves, to keep them safe and so on. It's not permissiveness and it's not total equality in my view. But it does mean a relationship built on mutual respect. And I believe human beings deserve respect and compassion and to have some say about their lives from their earliest days. I worry about people who equate that with becoming the slave of a child.
One last question. What will you answer to that? Alfie Kohn is good. He seems to be an innovator. His theories are fascinating, but they have no practical support. They're just fascinating conference topics, but with no relevance in real life.
I don't know how to... First of all, I draw these theories not in a vacuum. I didn't think of this stuff in the shower this morning. This comes from real life and from scientific research that ends up ratifying and supporting it. As for its practical application, I mean, I can show you all the lovely notes I get from people who read this and say, this approach transformed my family, and I always say, I didn't do that, you did that, but I'm glad to have called you back to your own best instincts as a parent. And on the other hand, I'm hardly the only person. I'm standing on the shoulders of people who've been writing and thinking, psychotherapists and researchers and wise people who don't do this professionally, but have found that their children respond to unconditional love. This works better in the real world than traditional control-based theories. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can not only watch this happen in your friends' households, if they're farther along in this journey, you can watch and ask your own child.
Okay, each guest in our show is offered a piece of music, live music. So, with your kind permission, I will introduce the band in Romanian.
Terrific.
Thank you. Îi ascultăm pe Juvenis. Juvenis sunt o descoperire absolut minunată, o trupă de elevi de la întorsura Buzăului și de la Sfântul Gheorghe. Trupa sună absolut surprinzător. Juvenis înseamnă Fabian Roman la clape, Cristi Dragomir la bas, Vlad Tohănean la tobe, Damian Rusu la chitară. O să ascultăm o piesă de mare virtuozitate care pare imposibilă pentru niște elevi de vârsta lor. Cel mai în vârstă membru al acestei trupe are 18 ani, pe care i-am primit acum câteva zile. We will listen a band of pupils from high school. They will try Wild Slippery Thing from Guthrie Govan, which is something very difficult. But let's hear them.
Good.
Wow! Bravo, domnilor! Venice. That's the name of this group, Venice. The oldest one is 18 years old. Okay, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. With your kind permission, I will recommend your book.
Thank you.
Recomand cu toată căldura și cu tot entuziasmul Parenting necondiționat, de la recompense și pedepse la iubire și înțelegere. O carte, după părerea mea, obligatorie pentru părinții din această țară și nu doar. You heard? Obligatory.
Yeah.
All right. Încă ceva. Cartea se bucură de o traducere excepțională, ceea ce e un lucru destul de rar și când găsești o traducere minunată e un motiv de foarte mare bucurie. Traducerea din limba engleză de Monica Loșanții, minunată traducere. Și încă ceva, le mulțumim prietenilor și partenerilor noștri de la Totul despre mame pentru mijlocirea acestui interviu. A fost un parteneriat care a funcționat foarte frumos și ne-a adus aici un invitat cu totul și cu totul special. Thank you for accepting our invitation again and good luck with your work. I do hope that what you say will be heard.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Tuturor celor care sunt alături de Garantat 100%, mulțumim pentru încredere. Să fiți sănătoși, ne vedem data viitoare. Noapte bună!